Hi, I'm Greg, owner of Power Planner, here today with Roy Diblik, Northwind Perennial Farm. And the main purpose of today's video is just so Roy can kind of talk about Power Planner augers, what he likes, maybe doesn't like. But the main thing in my thing is the solution that the augers are, not as a product. I don't sell a product. I try to sell a solution, whether you're a homeowner or a landscaper or a maintenance crew. And so Roy does plants, and he does plants really well. And Roy discovered our augers, and so I said, hey, I'll drive up to beautiful God's country, Wisconsin, which this is, and it's amazing. And let's talk augers and see what you think and their value.
Well, I think the plant auger we've been using for a number of years. When we first started drilling, I think we started drilling, using a drill probably in the early 2000s, and we used power bit because they did well. They lasted a long time. They were just it was a good product. It was a very good product. And I have to say, the first time we started drilling at a person's house, the husband came out. He said, "What are you doing with a drill?" He goes, "That's not gardening." He looked at us like we were breaking a gardening law, that we had any shovels. I said, "Well, it gets the plan." We showed him. He goes, "Wow, that is good." So he went from coming out upset that we weren't gardening because we weren't using shovels.
Right.
And when he saw what we were doing, he thought it was clever. He changed his mind right there. So what we're looking at now is, when we started drilling, is finding an efficient way of drilling. What's the best drill? And we always had the 2-cycle because we could work all day with the 2-cycle. And then you let us try this. And I had my doubts because of the battery. And I have to say, we used it last week on 2 jobs, and we went probably 6.5 hours of hard drilling, all 6.5 hours. We got a lot done. Yep. And the guys loved it. They enjoyed the drill. They enjoyed, it works. It worked really well. So I'd like to say something negative, because that's in a way how our country's working right now. You got to come up with something negative.
Come up with something
but
negative.
Everything worked well, I think. And we brought an extension. We can extend a bit for guys that are taller.
Yep.
So I think really you covered all the bases here.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're a plant guy at heart, and we farm. I mean, we make the augers on our family farm. But as far as the plants go, everybody says, and I've heard it on a regular basis, that augers are bad because you're going to put a plant that's been in a round pot into a round hole, and the roots aren't going to be able to come out of the round hole that you drill. My contention is if you take it out of the pot and you play with the roots a little bit, roots are meant to go out, earthworms are still there, and the plant's fine. The reason it gets girdled in a pot is because it can't go through plastic.
Well, the pot's a different material than structured soil.
Yeah.
So when you drill into structured soil, like we would drill right into dead sod, or we don't rototill. We haven't rototilled since the year 2001. We don't take the tiller with us. And then when you drill into more structured soil, and it's not a plastic, it's not a barrier, the roots root into unstructured soil much more efficiently than they do in tilled soil. Tilled soil is floating because of the airspace you created with the tiller. So all that has to redefine itself. And sometimes it takes longer for a plant to root into undulating soil that has a lot of airspace as it settles to and redefines itself. So we found out in all the plantings we've done in probably the last 15 years, there's been slowness in plants rooting in. And when you dig out our plants a year later, if you have to move one, the roots are going right into the structured earth. So really, it's kind of like no-till farming in a way.
Right.
So we try to minimally disturb soil. We have limited weed population because we don't disturb the soil. So our weed competition is very low. We drill right in, and some of the weeds will be right in our drilling areas, and that's really it. And the plants have rooted in 1 gallon, and we did 19,000 2.5-inch containers. They were equal and surpassed a gallon in 6 weeks in the ground.
Wow.
And that was in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. We drilled all that in, and there was no let back on the plants rooting in. Usually what delays the plants from being healthy are the way they're cared for and loved by the contractor or the homeowner. And sometimes they're not good parents. They don't water properly. And usually that bad start is what keeps them limited from becoming healthy children, healthy adults.
What do you think about an auger's ability as far as backfill? Because I experienced this myself. My wife and I paid a landscaper to do our house about 10 years ago. Half of it was done with a shovel. The other half was done with an auger because I came back and said, what are you doing? My perception, I think a lot of people's perception is when you use a shovel and you end up with a chunk of whatever it is. A lot of times, to your point, the parent, being the landscaper or the homeowner, just tries to wedge the chunk back along the pot.
Stomp it with their foot.
Is there anything to be said on the ability of an auger to bring that soil up in a tilled, loose fashion for backfill? Is that helpful for the plant?
It's easier to backfill. Yeah, and we put an inch of leaf mulch over the ground too.
Okay.
And then we backfill with the soil, and the leaf mulch goes back into as we backfill about an inch. We don't want too much more, or the plant will be in the leaf mulch. We want to make sure it's planted in the earth, so we just cover with about an inch. And we have good backfill material. Other than, like you mentioned, that's true with a shovel. You have a chunk that big, and you have to break it up with the shovel and tuck it back in carefully. You can't just stomp it back in.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens. I think a lot of people just play stomp.
Well, when you look at a lot of the plants are still, every plant out there is patiently waiting for humans to figure out how to put them in the earth successfully. They're just treated as quick as you can, as fast as you can, and that what covers them up, any mistakes, is the mulch, the wood chips people use. And the first thing plants don't want to be is surrounded by wood.
I thought that was an interesting concept, to be honest. Where did mulch come from as far as...
I have no idea.
I have it at my house.
Yeah, everybody does.
Somebody once said, Roy despises wood mulch.
Well, I don't despise it. I think it needs to be used properly and thoughtfully. You can put it on trees and shrubs the first year or two, but really what the trees and shrubs would prefer would be a living mulch of plants.
Yeah.
Every tree and every shrub that existed in the earth in the temperate zone had living plants underneath them with deep penetrating roots. That was a system of growing. There's no place on earth where wood has fallen from the sky 4 inches a year around herbaceous plants. There were no Native American tribes wood chipping the prairies. There were no Native American tribes with blowers blowing the leaves in the Native American landfill. All plantings lived in a system. And once we learn how to put plants back in the earth as social beings in a living system, that's when we get healthier, and that's when the earth gets healthier. And this drill is contributing to that as far as I'm concerned. One, because of like you mentioned, the backfill. I don't have to disturb the soil. I don't have to injure my crew trying to chip away with a tile spade in the soil we haven't rototilled, so they're happier. So really, we're working our way into a system of planting that's healthy for the plants, the earth, the crew, and then the client too. They become healthier because of the way the plants are responding to their emotions.
Right.
So your solution is the bits you've created and sell, and now the drill with a longer battery that can keep us going throughout the day.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Well, I really appreciate the time and you know your honest take on it. I mean, you're known and you're a genuine human, which I think is invaluable.
Thank you. That's nice to say.
That's the crux of it, you know. And you're an actual user. I mean, you can't look at this and say that auger is unused. And
if I hid this from the guys tomorrow, say, come on, Roy, they'd spend all day looking for the drill. We wouldn't go out and do anything. Roy, we can't leave. Where's the drill?
That's fantastic.
Like the Dutch push-pull hoe we brought from Holland.
Yep.
If I hit all those Dutch push-pull hoes, they wouldn't go out. Roy, we're not going to crawl on the ground and weed anymore. So when you get the right tools, you get things done. And your guys become gardeners, not laborers.
Yeah.
They become professional at what they do.
Yeah. Well, no, that's outstanding. And I mean, as an American family-run company, you know, having your support and talking about it is just, in my eyes, it's huge. I mean, we've been around for 34 years.
Yes,
my grandfather started the company. I took over for him.
When was the first power?
The first power planter, 1988.
And I think when we started buying, buying them in 2000. Or we ordered the bits for the drills.
So yeah, we've been around for a while, and people are amazed. We still make them on our family farm. Yeah.
And the nice thing is, it's collaborative. It's not just one person knowing one thing. It's you teaming up with me, teaming up with clients. So everything's collaborative.
Yeah, it absolutely
That's how the world
is.
should work.
Yeah,
Right?
teamwork and communication and just all in it together. So anyway, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up, too.
Yeah, absolutely, this is beautiful.
See the farm.
Yeah, this is awesome. So perfect.
Thanks.
If you want more information on power planter augers, you can give us a call. You don't even have to hit press 1 to get to a human. The number is 217-379-2614. You can also go to our website, powerplanter.com. and happy to help. And if there's anything that we can't ask, and you happen to be in Roy's neck of the woods, just swing by Northwind's Perennial Farm and ask Roy. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll fill you in.
All right, thanks again.
Okay, see you later.
Thanks, see ya.